Hello everyone, welcome to my first video, my instructional video for my Patreon. And today we are talking about the Chinese epic Journey to the West. This is my thumbnail, and then here we have my line work. So one thing to note about my line work that you may notice is that it's not very refined as much as other artists you may see out there. And that's my style. I don't like to spend too much time on my line work. I like to really let my line work be more of a guide. And then when I get to the painting process, that's where I start making more concrete design decisions. So here I am just mapping out the essential flow of the path. You know, we have the heroes of the myth who are leaving China. Here I am mapping in a Chinese temple. They're leaving the Chinese temple on the upper left, winding through a pathway, and then they're going to end up heading towards a Buddhist temple in India. And so the myth is, you know, the monk Tong and the Monkey King, and there's a few other characters that are going as a group, and essentially the tale is about overcoming adversity and challenges to attain enlightenment and self-improvement. So it's kind of a parable or a symbolic journey. So yeah, I'm just trying to create, based on the thumbnail, a composition that's not, I don't like to do symmetrical compositions. I try to create a flow and kind of have things off center and have movement and shapes in the composition, which can help your eye move around and feel like, yeah, just as elegant of a collection, or I'm sorry, elegant of a composition as possible, in the way that I'm collecting and organizing all of the different elements. So the characters, the architectural elements, the environmental shapes, the mountains, things like that. So here I am, we are trying to find a pose for the Monkey King, Sun Wukong. I had a little bit of trouble. I just, was going through different poses, the Kung Fu poses with his staff. I didn't want it to feel too defensive. I wanted it to feel a little bit more aggressive, like kind of he was bringing the fight to, he seems like a pretty cheeky, outgoing character. So yeah, I'm gonna end up changing that pose. And then here we are just kind of mapping out some of these other characters, the monk, the pig character, and then the final, I think it's Sha, or no, it's Zhu, who's in the back holding the supplies, and then this horse is actually a really important character, which becomes a dragon later. So part of the challenge of these types of pieces where you're trying to summarize an entire myth is like picking the elements, right? Because there's so many characters and so many, events that happen, and so many, in this case, a lot of demons and antagonists that appear in the story as well. So part of my job as I'm, illustrating these really, really complex and vast mythological tales is kind of editing out some of the stuff. It's like people who are adapting this stuff into a film. It's like you just got to pick what you can fit into it. You can't fit everything in. So that's a challenge sometimes. So just trying to pick the broad strokes and the things that I think people would want to know about, or that I would want to know about, just as like my introduction. Because again, like my goal is not to cover every aspect of these stories, but really to make them accessible, introduce them to people, and catch your interest like a hook. And then if you want to go deeper, certainly there's places, go read the original story, or there's websites online. For example, there's a Journey to the West research.com, which is a really cool website for resources about this tale. So throwing in, now I'm starting to map in the antagonists, the villains, the demons, and these are some pretty wild characters. But again, like as you can see, I'm not really going too detailed. I'm really just like, okay, what's the flow? What's the general overall silhouette shape that I want? Do I want these characters kind of flowing up, or do I want the demons kind of coming at the group more aggressively? You have to decide, like, and based on those positions, how is that going to affect the whole flow of the image and the way the eye moves around the image, right? So this is a lot of sort of trial and error and kind of not being afraid to erase things. That's another reason why I like to sketch at this scale or draw my line work at this scale, because it's just a kind of happy medium between, I can get in there and do detail if I need to, but at the same time I can erase something and it wouldn't take me, you know, too long to redraw it or remap it in. So I do like this kind of smaller scale sketchbook for line work. And yeah, just throwing in some more demons here in the back. Again, not worried about anything really. I mean, I'm not worried about costumes. I'm not really worried too deeply about any, you know, accessories or facial expressions. It's really just general poses to kind of get the feel. There's the bull king with his horns, and he's holding a like a kind of a some sort of big stick or something. I'm probably going to change that later when we get to the final. Here's a sort of I think she's the bone goddess. These characters are so fascinating, actually. Like, there's so many demons that they face in this tale. This is the red boy. He's controls fire and stuff. They're very, very colorful, very inventive, very creative. So learning about this tale is really a pleasure. And I really do want to go back much deeper and I don't know, maybe even someday illustrate the whole thing, because it's very just colorful and cool. Very, very outrageous with some of the fights, and yeah, I don't know. It's pretty impressive. And then here's the silver and gold twins. They have their horned kings. So even though I'm not putting much detail, you can see from a distance that the composition does have a sort of logic to it, you know, where the groups are placed and kind of the way the eye can, you know, certainly the path helps your eye kind of enter and move around and then move up into those sections where the characters are. Yeah, so here I am redoing the Monkey King's pose. I just wanted him to have something a little more aggressive. All right, so here we are moving into the color sketch. So obviously this is a totally separate stage, different approach, different considerations. So essentially with this, what I'm doing, and again, like, this is not the final at all. Like, these are all just preliminary kind of, I'm working my way from the thumbnail to the line work and now the color sketch. And then after this, once I have all of those elements that I'm happy with, that I feel like I understand the direction, then only then will I move on to the final painting. So this is a really fun stage of the process because it's low res. It's, you know, this isn't really something I really feel the need to share with people, as far as like, hey guys, check. I mean, I do like to share it because it's the process, but if I didn't, I don't need to share this art with anyone. The only thing I really feel like I need to share is the final. But so the point is that there's very low expectations and sort of low pressure to create something that I'm really proud of, that I'm going to put up on a wall or sell or anything like that, or, you know, present to people. So that lack of pressure really helps this stage be fun and kind of experiment and adjust colors and move stuff around and change the scale. So I think that's really important when you're making art, that you, at least in the early stages, you don't feel like you're sitting down and creating your final masterpiece from the beginning. Like, have some fun with it, make some mistakes, and don't feel too precious about the fact that you've made a mistake and you have to make some changes. It's fine. So as you can see, I'm really just using my selection tool, my lasso tool in Photoshop, and just selecting the shapes based on my line work and just trying to figure out what are my values, what are the colors, you know. I knew on the right side I wanted to have kind of a, you know, vibrant green, lush, kind of more of a happy tone, and then moving into the left, the environment was going to get rocky and like lack of vegetation and kind of a little bit colder and more darker and scarier. And here I am in the back doing the Buddhist temple in India, which is going to be really warm and feels like an inviting destination, final destination. So yeah, again, the thing I can always talk about and at length is values. Like even just these clouds, you can see the clouds are kind of light on a darker background. The heroes are lighter values on a darker background. Some of these demons are going to be both. Like right now, I'm doing a light on a darker background, but the bull god who I'm about to fill in, he's going to be a darker value on a lighter background. So at this stage, in addition to color and trying to understand the tone and how I want the lighting and the feel of the whole thing to feel, I'm trying to really understand what are the values of the different elements going to be in the final painting. So here I am doing the Bull King. He's going to be a darker value on a lighter background. See how that happens? And now he's going to read from a distance. That's one thing I always like. If you could see this painting from 20 feet away, I want you to kind of be able to read the shapes and the silhouettes and understand, okay, we've got characters on a journey and they're going into some danger. And then as you get closer, hopefully the details make it more interesting and you want to keep looking at the image. But if you're looking at this from a distance and you can't understand, it's all muddy and you don't know, that's a problem for me. Like I want my work to be graphic and the silhouettes to read really clearly. So let's see what else. Yeah, just kind of putting in some more characters. I think we're probably gonna, so now I'm just playing with like some different sort of color shifts and value shifts and making sure everything's kind of fine tuning. So it's like, okay, I'm on the right direction, but I still feel like, you know, maybe the characters need be a little bit brighter so that they're the focal point of the image, or maybe the mountains need to be a little bit lighter because they're too dark, you know, things like that. So this is kind of the end of that stage where I'm basically just fine-tuning some things and sort of making some last-minute adjustments because basically once this stage is done and I feel happy with this, then I'm gonna just start over completely from scratch and redo this image from scratch as a final painting at a higher resolution. So this is the final color sketch. I think it's pretty cool. I'm excited for it. I think it's got a lot of nice, vibrant, contrasty areas and different sections that your eye wants to investigate. And so from here, like I said, I'll just put this aside and then I'll restart the high-res final painting from scratch. And I'll have this up in the corner of my Photoshop as a guide. But I don't paint on top of this one. I really just start over and maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should paint on top of this one, but it's like, this is not meant to be, I've done that before. I've tried to paint on top of this and it just actually gets in the way. So it's better to just kind of use this as the guide and just follow it as a visual template. And then just have fun creating the selections and pushing for a more refined, elegant version of this. And to be fair, because this is so loose and fun, sometimes the color sketches look better than the finals because they're so simple and your mind can kind of fill in the blanks or fill in the nondescript areas with your imagination, and that's actually a little bit more interactive. And then when you start really detailing everything out, you really have to start making really hard decisions. And the more detail you put in, the more contrast within these character silhouettes, which creates more visual noise and contrast, and that can interrupt the overall silhouette. So anyways, I hope that's not too technical for you, but this is basically my process, and I hope you enjoyed it. And please stay tuned because there's lots more to come. And I will be doing one of these videos every month for the Patreon. Possibly more if people come into this tier and they want more of these types of videos. I could definitely do more. But let me know if this was helpful or other things you'd like me to address in future videos, and I'd be happy to work them in and just any topics that you want me to cover. Thanks for your interest. Thanks for watching.